Dairy farmer fined 195 large for selling raw milk? Yes. Where? Canada. Of course. And I wanted to put this up here. I want you guys to be the judge on this one, and you guys be the judge on what is going on here. I'm going to present some of the facts, what's going on, and what I have or what I could find to corroborate government overreaching and government basically destroying our basic lives. And it's been going on in every sector, whether in the internet, solar sector, dairy sector, food sector, transportation sector, every sector, electricity, driving, has been so heavily and deadly regulated that it's gotten to a point where we put our arms up and say, what's going to happen next? Well, let's take a look here. This is from yesterday. And here it is. BC dairy farmer fined 195 large for selling raw milk. So let's get to the point here. It appeared that Mr. S was selling milk directly to an individual and not through the milk board as required by law. The milk board. So if you have milk and you want to sell it, it has to go through the milk board by law. The decision said the milk was picked up from his farm in a Ford F-150 vehicle and transported to a warehouse in Surrey. The make and the model of the milk. But yet, we will never find out the cocaine in the White House. Officials at the milk board obtained a warrant to search the warehouse in Surrey. Again, more and more bureaucracy boards and more government red tape and more government government-funded workers by taxpayers. In Surrey, found that containers of raw, unpasteurized milk. Mr. S admitted that the board had been making extra cash by selling raw milk to the Punjab Sweet House in Surrey for the last 7 years. The board slapped Mr. S with a $195,000 charge to cover the lost revenue based on the class price of the volume of the 600 liters per week for 7 years. Now, 600 liters per week for 7 years, that's a lot of milk. So that means a lot of people have died from this, right? He also ordered to pay a $33,266 to cover the cost of investigation and lost his license to sell milk. And Mr. S then took the milk board to the BC Farm Industry Review Board and court, arguing to get his license back and saying the fine was excessive. He managed to get his license back, and the tribunal reduced the charge to $3,000, but still left him to pay the $33,000 in investigation. $33,000 in investigation costs on raw milk. But meanwhile, at the White House, they spent about $2,000 investigating that cocaine found in the White House. So, I mean, this whole raw milk thing is real serious. The tribunal said $3,000 represented the loss of the unpaid levies to the milk board. So the milk board still wants every cent it makes. So let's look at raw milk. Is it dangerous? So raw milk reality. Is raw milk dangerous? By Chris Kresser. So let's see what he says here. Let's get to the point. He goes into law. CDC making laws and this and that. Raw milk to cause illnesses and everything. That's what the CDC stated. And according to the CDC, during the period from 1990 to 2006, there were 24,000 foodborne illnesses reported each year on average. Of those, 315 per year are from dairy products. 315 of 24,000? Okay, that means the dairy products account for 1.3% of foodborne illnesses each year. That's not exactly an alarming number, considering more than 75% of the population consumes dairy product regularly. It's also important to note that outbreaks and illness associated with dairy products are generally mild compared to other foods. According to the CSPI report above, approximately 5,000 people are killed every year by foodborne illness. From 2009 to 2011, the high-profile outbreaks involving peanuts, eggs, and cantaloupe alone accounted for 2,729 illnesses and 39 deaths. Yet, There have only been a handful of deaths from pasteurized dairy products in the last decade. There hasn't been a single death attributed to raw milk since the mid 1980s, in spite of the fact that almost 10 million people are consuming it regularly. So if you take 24,000 there and you're looking at like and okay, and you break this one down here of the cantaloupe, and it's so much higher. It's a much higher risk. I think it's mainly attributed to peanuts, maybe cantaloupe. I don't know about eggs, but unless the eggs were rotten or whatever, right? But there it is right there. Let's move on. So the FDA, there it is, Food Drug Administration. Trust the science. People to tell you to trust the science. You're going to trust the science, okay? So the FDA, see, everything's reporting on this. So raw milk can carry dangerous bacteria such as Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria, whatever that is, and other that cause foodborne illness, often called food poisoning. These bacteria can severely injure the health of anyone who drinks milk or eats products made with raw milk. So now I went to a state by state, and I found out that in New Mexico, sales of raw milk are legal with a permit. And, well, we're looking at died unexpectedly there, sorry. Raw milk is not a high-risk food. So this is from the Farm and Ranch Freedom Alliance. So it goes on to say, so it goes into the different illnesses here. At the same period, approximately 12,500 foodborne illnesses reported in Texas, not including the people who became ill as a multi-state outbreak. So raw oysters, 486, 20 hospitalizations. Turkey, 852 illnesses. Ham, 225 illnesses. And then it goes into fruit salad, 1,323 illnesses. Hospitalizations, 29, and 1 death. Tuna, 1,355 illnesses, 36 hospitalizations, and 3 deaths, not including raw tuna or sushi. Deli meats, 1,345 illnesses, 104 hospitalizations, 19 deaths. Pizzagate, 1,614 illnesses, 20 hospitalizations, and 3 deaths. And you go into how many people drink raw milk. According to CDC, an average of 3% of the population has drunk raw milk within the last 7 days. Raw milk consumption, that translates to more 9 million raw milk consumers. So out of 9 million consumers, approximately 112 have been sick each year, allegedly, from raw milk nationwide, or a 0.001%. So again, the food boards and the milk boards need to make their money. That gives me enough time to tell you the story of the Manitoba Wheat Board. And I like this story because it's based off true events, and the person that told it to me was really needed to tell me this story. Anyways, Buddy he sells wheat. He's got a big farm in Manitoba, and the Manitoba Wheat Board dictates the price of wheat. And it got to a point where he said he was taking a major loss. He was actually contemplating in dumping his wheat into a river because it'd actually be more cost effective, because he is losing money to the Manitoba Wheat Board, in turn that turns that wheat and profits heavily off the backs of our farmers and truckers and everybody that works hard to get us our food to our table. So he decided one day, because he knew where a wheat station was across the border in the United States. So he took his truck one night, early wee hours of the morning, took it to the United States, sold his wheat for a good price, and he could feed his family, came back to Canada. Hours later, at the wee hours of the morning, 3, 4 in the morning, he was swatted by our tax dollars and arrested, prosecuted, fined, charged, and I think he did 15 days in jail. And for crossing the border and selling his wheat, because the Manitoba Wheat Board cannot afford to have people jumping the border and making actual money. And I wanted to conclude with that story, guys. You guys be the judge on this one. Let me know what you guys think. And the whole cocaine thing in the White House, I don't know. We'll keep investigating it. We're not sure, like, who did it. So it's a big problem, mate. But they spent $800 investigating it, but they spent 30 grand of taxpayers' money in Canada investigating the raw milk scandal. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm Mike Martins. I'm in Canada. I'm a Portuguese. Please share my video, because I've been heavily censored since 2012. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.